Elizabeth at A Literary Princess, and today I am doing the end of the year book tag. So I have no clue who originated this tag. Not gonna lie, I usually do it over on Tumblr, but since I now have a booktube channel, I figured I would do it on here. I wasn't tagged, but I have seen quite a few people doing it. And it goes perfectly with the quarter year crisis tag and the mid-year book freakout tag. So there are 6 questions, I think, so let's jump right in. Question 1, are there any books that you started this year that you need to finish? Yes. So I am going to talk about 3 that are all on my TBR for this month, actually, and I'm hoping to finish them this month. First up, we've got The Daughters of Danaus by Mona Caird. I think I talked a bit about this in my November TBR, but I made it halfway through and realized that I had not absorbed anything, so I went back to the beginning, and now I'm like 20 pages in and haven't touched it. Oh, 30 pages in, excuse me, and haven't touched it since. But yeah. I also need to finish The Idiot by Elif Batuman. I am like 160 pages into this, 170. I'm like 10 pages off in my estimates. And I'm really liking it. I just haven't had time to read it, and October happened. So I will be finishing this month. And then The Woodlanders, which is kind of my main focus at the moment. I'm halfway through this and really loving it. So those are the 3 books that I like that are unfinished right now, that I'm like, I need to finish these by the end of the year. I'm also in the middle of the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, but I'm thinking of DNFing it for now because I kind of got out of the mood for it and out of the mood for audiobooks in general, but we'll see what happens. Question number 2, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? I don't have a specific book, but I have 2 genres, both of which I read this year. So the first one would be dark academia, which is just like the quintessential fall or autumnal like genre. So this year it was Babel by R.F. Kuang. And I actually think I read this at the end of August, so it wasn't even really transitioning into fall because September is not really fall anymore, because it is still 77 degrees here in November, even though I live in New England. Anyway, but yeah, I adored this. It's my top book of the year right now. So yeah. And then the other genre would be kind of gothic classics. And I did read one for Victober. I read Dracula by Bram Stoker and really enjoyed this. So yeah, those are my 2 genres for switching into fall. I read both of them this year, and yeah, I feel like it was a good transition into fall. Question number 3, is there a new release you're still waiting for? No, I did not have a whole lot of new releases that I was really excited for this year. I think at the beginning of the year, there was Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shannon McGuire, which was her next book in the Wayward Children. And I got to read it at the end of December because I had an arc. And then there was Babel, which I was looking forward to quite a bit. And then there is Fairy Tale by Stephen King, which came out in September. I still haven't read it yet. It's on my Christmas list, but I don't think I have any books that are not released yet that I was really interested in. Question number 4, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? I can only pick 3. Okay. There's a lot of books that I want to read before the end of the year, but fine, we'll go with 3. And I'm actually gonna pick the 3 books that I am considering teaching next semester that I want to read before January so that I can finalize my syllabus and the book list so the bookstore doesn't hate me. The first one is Arcadia by Tom Stoppard, which is a play from 1993. I talked about all 3 of these in a recent book haul, so I won't go into too much detail, but I love this. It's a reread. All of these are rereads, by the way. It's 3 books I need to reread by the end of the year. Yeah, I adore this. It has 1 part set in the early 19th century and 1 part set in the current day. I love it. Next up is Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rhys. This is a kind of retelling of Jane Eyre, focused on Bertha Mason before she marries Rochester, so it is set in Jamaica, and it's very good. And then Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, which I am hoping I like better this time. So for all of those, it's been a really long time since I read them. Arcadia and Wide Sargasso Sea I read during undergrad. And then Mrs. Dalloway, I think I read shortly after coming home from my master's. So it would have been 2016, 2017. And like every time I think that, I realize how long it's actually been. I'm like, ew, no, stop. But yeah, so those are 3 books that I definitely want to get to. Kind of taking a break from my exam list there. I mean, there are tons of books from my exams that I want to get to too. But if I had to only read 3 more books this year, those would be it, because I need to finalize my book list. Question number 5, I think. Is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? No, I don't think there is. So I think it was back in the quarter year crisis tag that I had 2 favorite books. It was The Women in White by Wilkie Collins and The World Cannot Give by Tara Isabella Burton. And I was like, nothing could knock these out. And then Babel came in like high and blew me away. And I don't think anything could knock Babel off right now. Not a new read. And I rate I rank my rereads differently than my new reads. I think most people probably do. But yeah, I don't think anything could come out here and bump this down. Especially like I'm thinking about the books that I am probably going to be reading by the end of the year, and I'm like, no, none of those. So yeah, no, there's nothing. This is it. This is the favorite book of the year. I'm gonna say that something's gonna happen. And anyway, next question, number 6. Have you already started making reading plans for next year, which is going to be 2023, and it doesn't sound like a real year. It sounds fake to me. But yes, I am already making my reading plans. I'm gonna have a video about what my 2023 reading plans are gonna be, but this is like gonna be a little sneak peek. So first things first, I'm going to be doing what I am calling the George Eliot Project. And it is where I read George Eliot's fiction in publication order. I am kind of getting this idea from AJ over at AJ Dunn Reads and Writes. They are doing this with Stephen King's work, and they have been for like over a year now, I think. And I'm loving it, and I live vicariously through them because I would love to just be reading a Stephen King book a month, but it is not feasible for me right now because of exams. And George Eliot is a Victorian author, so I can be like, I can justify it. Whereas I could not with Stephen King. AJ, you are living my dream. I hope you know that. Anyway, but yes, I am going to be doing the George Eliot Project, where I will be reading a work of George Eliot's fiction, probably like one a month. Middlemarch might take more than 1 month. So I will be finally finishing Adam Bede, which I read for my master's and stopped like maybe less than halfway through. I'm pretty sure it was less than halfway through. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And it was the last book of the year, and I was like, I'm not writing my paper on it, so. But so finally finishing this and rereading The Behemoth, Middlemarch, which I did not really like the first time I read it, and I really want to love it. It was on my worst books of the year list. And I mean, I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't that bad, but it's very long. And I don't think that I read it in the best way for me to read it. I read it over a very long period of time. I think that I need like to take a month and be like, I'm reading Middlemarch, and read it all in that month and try to read a bit every day. But yeah, I'm gonna be rereading this. We'll see how this goes. And then the other things that I'm starting to plan out are my fairy tale retellings. So I have a feature that started on my Tumblr and then moved to my blog, and then I've done an episode here, called Fairy Tale Friday, where I talk about a fairy tale retelling on Friday. Shocking. But I have really gotten out of the habit of doing it, and it was always kind of a sporadic thing once I started school, but I would really like to do one a month. So I have picked 12 fairy tale retellings, some that are new to me, some that are rereads, and I'm like, okay, if I read one a month, I should be, and write my post on it, I should be able to do this. So my plan is to kind of alternate one on the blog and then one on here. So we'll see what happens, but I'll talk about 3 of them that I want to read. I'll talk about the full 12 in my other video. But so first is The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed. I read her newer book, Juniper and Thorn, this year. I got that as an ARC and it was fantastic, so I asked for this for my birthday. It is a loose retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. Very excited. And The Shadow in the Glass by J.J.A. Harwood. This is a dark retelling of Cinderella, and I honestly just found it in a bookstore while I was browsing and was like, I need it. And then the last one is a reread. This is Fairest by Gail Carson Levine. Ella Enchanted is top tier fairy tale retelling, one of my favorites. And I also have really enjoyed Fairest, but I think I've only read it once, and I do want to reread it and do a feature on it. So those are kind of my condensed plans for 2023. Again, I'll be doing a longer video on that, probably closer to the end of the year, more in December. And yeah, that is my end of the year book tag. So I would love to hear your answers to these questions down in the comments below. I would love to hear if you read any of these books and what you thought. It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon. Bye.